Hello, and welcome back to day 14 of your forgiveness challenge. See, we've been doing it so long, I totally forgot. So today's challenge, we're going to be simply talking about this conversation of boundaries. I was teaching this live in my Return to Self container today, and it's actually a really important part of forgiveness because don't forget, when we started day one, we talked about what most people think forgiveness is. I'm right, you're wrong, and a way of holding animosity towards another person. As a result, this word called boundaries, which is a great word, often gets thrown around here. Well, I need a boundary from that person. They hurt me. I need a boundary. And don't hear what I'm about to say as not telling you about boundaries. I want you to be open that there's boundaries that can be from fear, and boundaries that can be formed from love. And you can set a boundary from love once you do your forgiveness work. The boundary from fear says, you did this to me. You're bad. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm right. And so on. And that just creates pain. But the more you're doing this forgiveness work, and I taught this morning, the more you can hold a boundary from love. And people say, well, what does that look like? Well, it means that, you won't do that 2 a.m. booty call anymore. You'll be more like, oh, I love this person, but I don't need to internalize the pain they're giving me. It might mean that, you say to your mother who always puts you down, I get it, mom. I get it that you don't understand me. And that's cool. And you might just say it in your mind if your mom doesn't understand that. But do you see the way it was said and the way it was felt was the boundary of love, not a boundary from fear. But in order to get there, you have to start doing your forgiveness work. So I shared this morning when I was teaching that when I first started doing forgiveness work, I had some unforgiveness towards my siblings. So for about 6 months, I had to create a boundary from fear. Like I couldn't handle it because I started to realize how much, I felt sort of victimized by them. And it's not their fault. It's just the interpretation my childhood brain made about my relationship with them. Right. And I stayed really upset and mad for a while, but that doesn't serve me. So I put up a boundary for a while because I needed 3 to 6 months to forgive and heal that story. So I did every technique I taught you guys. But the one I focused on the most was forgiving myself for thinking that I was hurt, forgiving myself for thinking that somebody else had a run over who I am, forgive myself for thinking that I was less than. And when I got there, that's when it shifted. Then I knew I could take that boundary down and I could have that boundary from fear, but I could now have a boundary from love. I'm just like, yeah, I love you. And then if I get triggered, it's like, oh, let me do that forgiveness work of that little girl inside of me who felt hurt, ashamed, not heard, blah, blah, blah. So it's a bit of a deeper concept. I might have lost you, but I don't think I did. So forgiveness from fear versus forgiveness from love. At first, it might be from fear. Do your forgiveness work, and then you'll probably notice it can be from love. And just so y'all know, I am going to do some lives on this call. We were having some tech difficulties trying to figure out how to get your guys' emails, but we figured that out. And you can tell I have a different background. I'm in Mexico right now, so we will be setting one up. My schedule is kind of jam-packed right now, but we will set one up as soon as possible. I'm sending you guys so much love, and thank you so much for doing this. This is a game changer. Lots of love.